computer. Okay, people, this is Angie Power Disney at Angela's Caches, and I'm very honored to have one of the bravest 16-year-olds in Ireland, and for a while exiled in England. His courage still blows me away, and it's like sometimes I told him that he's the same age as my grandson. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, did you just say that out loud? But his courage blows me away. So this is a survivor of horrendous abuse and neglect in the care of Tusla from the age of 4. Foster home after foster home, group care home, rape. It's breathtaking what this lad has survived, and he's still standing. So I'm just delighted because people tried to help him and they heard his pleas about being abused by Tusla in Ireland. So some activists, took him to England, and then he got abused even worse. It was like better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. It's like they weren't just abusing him in England, they were racist as well because he was Irish. So I personally am delighted that he's back in Ireland. He was extradited, but very few people have heard his update from when he was making emergency broadcasts about getting physically abused in the UK residential home, getting his phone taken, getting his guitar smashed. Very few people have heard the update of how did that work out, and how did you get extradited to Ireland, and how's it at now? So I'm going to hand over to Evan. He speaks better than most people my age. So over to you, Evan.
Thank you very much. And I just want to start off by saying I have utmost gratitude for featuring me on your podcast. I'm really grateful for that because times have been very hard recently, between everything that's been going on. And now that I'm back in Ireland and I'm going live again, things just haven't been the same because I kind of went off the face of the earth for months and months and months. And, now I'm back and it's kind of like, in a way, I don't have my following like I used to, or, like, or people are like watching my live streams, but it's not really going anywhere. So I'm really
Just
grateful.
one second. My screen doesn't say recording, so I want to be very careful about that we don't
Mine
get
is saying it's still
sabotaged.
recording.
Your side is saying recording.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, then carry on. Yeah, because we get sabotaged. And I want to say to you as well, you had a following of thousands and thousands. You've been gone for months. So be patient. Your following will build up again as long as you don't get entrapped and like grabbed by people that want to take you into their fold. So let's keep focused. I want you to give a very logical, like you were horrendously. I've heard your testimonies and they were brutal, and I would hope we could refer people to them. But I want you to talk about you got escaped to England, and then it looked like you had lovely care and you were going to get a semi-independent apartment and everything was hunky-dory. And then it went Pete top, Pete, what do you call it? Pete. Anyway, it went bad. It went bad. So try and take, just for the public audience, try and take
Yeah.
us from what happened in England when you realized you really weren't safe over there.
Right, so let me start from the start. So I got to England in early January. And before I was found in England, my life was amazing there. I was so happy. I was, with somebody who I won't name, who really did take good care of me, sheltered me, and gave me everything I could possibly
So why
want.
not name them? You're talking about Anne-Marie Cope, Anne-Marie Hope Cope.
No, no, I'm referring to a person I was actually living with in England.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
yeah. Um, but yeah, no, there would have been a lot of people, like Charmaine and Anna Maria who were helping me out. Well, I say helping me out, but they were involved, is how
So
I'll
you,
word
so
it.
you got a safe space to live in before it became public.
Mm,
Okay, okay. I didn't know about that, but I don't need to know every detail. Like,
yeah. But let me just say the whole story.
yeah, okay, okay.
So yeah, things are going really, really well. I mean, when I was with a mate of mine in England, I was in a youth group. I was socializing with people my age for the first time in a long time. I was getting into horse therapy, everything. And then there's one day I'm out going for a walk, and there's about five police officers, a police van, squad car. They had like sniffer dogs in case I ran. They had drones. They saw me, instantly put me in cuffs, threw me in the back of a van without explaining anything to me. Um, they raided the person's house I was living with and arrested them for child abduction, even though I had went there willingly on my own accord. I was by myself the whole time I was traveling, I was determined to get there myself. Like, now thank God their charges have been dropped because they were truly very, very good to me. Um, and so that's when then I was referred to the social services in England, and things changed drastically. Um, and it was the worst time in my life. I remember I went to this crisis placement, sorry, in Lincoln, and I mean my mental my emotional state was never so bad in my life. It was worse than the time I was raped, I would say. Because I had just been in a system for the past 12 years, and I never really knew what the outside life was like or what it was like to be in a normal, safe family environment. And then when I was missing for a month, I got so used to being a normal kid again and adapted to that. And now I'm being chucked back into the care system again. It was, oh my God, it was so traumatic, like with no therapy or counseling offered, nothing. And I mean, day in, day out, I mean, I'd be laughing one minute and for no reason, I would just break down in tears and I'd go to such dark places in my mind. And I thought truly I was going to die. Like, after what happened to me in Ireland, I could not face going back. Um, so I wasn't there long. Whilst I was in that crisis placement, though, I did have a lot of liberties still. But keep in mind, they didn't really know who I was or how resourceful I was. So, they just was kind of like, oh yeah, sure, we let him do what he wants. He won't do anything, no, um, and then I got the news I was going to Wreaking Care, which is an emergency placement, so it's not a crisis placement. So they hold you up to, I think, 28 days. But then they can keep extending it for as long as they need to. Now, Wreaking Care was a private company and it was unregulated. Um, and the brainwashing that went on there and the deceiving lies was horrendous. At the time, I was reflecting on it now, I was so indulged with the idea that I'm safe in this placement and that, I'm going to be going semi-independent and I have all these things. And I believed that at the time because that's what they were feeding into my mind. And then I was going back on Facebook to the public, feeding that to people. So everyone was like, yay, yippee, everything is safe and sound. And, you know, that's when Anna Maria and Charmaine and a few other people really started to pull back from the situation, and they were like, you're safe and sound now, you know, you do you kind of a thing. And it's a shame. I wish people could have seen that there was red flags there, because there were red flags the whole time.
And
Um,
I just want to say, one of the times I communicated with you and you recorded, I heard the red flags. I've never put them out public, but I heard you being bullied. I heard you being
oh yeah, I mean,
oh, it was shocking. It was shocking to me.
yeah,
I remember one quote. Uh, this care worker said, "Oh, you're acting like somebody that needs to be restrained."
yeah,
And
that's what I was.
they weren't even trained in legal and lawful restraint, which has been outlawed, for decades, decades. This restraint in care homes has turned into the most horrendous. I lived near to a care home in Suffolk, and 5 children in that care home committed suicide. And then one child told her birth parents about being raped there. And the birth parents, God forgive them, they went to the care home and they shot dead the 2 owners of the care home, and it closed down. But it was like people have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. They have no idea.
I have an idea though, on that, you know, like this, I've always said, and I hate saying it because I sound full of myself, but I think I am one of the most important people in this fight, because, you know, not only am I behind those doors and I have basically been born and raised in the system, but I'm one of the only children in Ireland and England who are actually going public like this and speaking up. I've never, in my time that I've been online, encountered another child my age in care doing what I'm doing. And you know, the things I've seen and heard over my years, if I even spoke about them, which I will, I'd probably be sectioned because it sounds so crazy. It's like something you could make up. And people just would not believe it, you know. And then as well, our reputation is damaged when we speak out, because we get labeled as conspiracy theorists or delusional people, or, you know, mentally ill people, all sorts. And it's like, no, like the truth is right in front of us, but we just can't see it because we're so brainwashed, because we're too comfortable being in this little bubble where we go to work, we know we'll get paid, we know we'll go home and the wife will have the dinner cooked and the house will be clean and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, people don't actually want to question what's going on behind closed doors because people are scared of the truth. They don't want to know about it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but so yeah, I went to Rican Care anyways, and so I was in this big house, and again at the start, things were really, really well. I had a lot of liberty, you know, I was making lots of live streams, you know, I had good relationships with the staff. And to be fair, I do have to say, even to this day, there are 2 staff in that placement that I still adore. You know, they were different to the other carers, Sharon and Rachel. Big shout out to them, love them to bits. And you know, they've always said when I turn 18, they said you better come back and let us know how you're keeping. Um, but there were some horrible people there. You know, I would have mentioned Stefan before. Now, Stefan is the staff member who unlawfully restrained me, snatched my phones, smashed my guitars, bet me up in public, um, took my shoes and my hat and, you know, like pieces of clothing off me and threw them over the neighbor's fence, you know, publicly embarrassing me. I mean, yeah, oh God, it was awful. So when there was another young person there. I won't name him because he's young and he had a lot of difficulties. He was on the spectrum of autism and had ADHD. Um, but the staff just did not understand, like couldn't learn how to understand him and communicate with him. And it angered him because there was just this little boy in him who was aching and hurting. And, he was in this place where he knew no one and no one made effort to get to know him or understand him. And so day in and day out, he was trashing up the house, smashing the windows in, assaulting staff, police having to come at all hours of the night, restraining him. You know, it was awful and it broke my heart seeing him like that. But he was a very, very strong boy, and when he did lash out, he was quite violent, and it was an awful environment. And so I started questioning why is this chap lashing out like this? Children don't act like this for no reason. Something must be going on in his heart that he's so hurt, and I started thinking then something isn't right about this placement. So week by week, really subtle things started happening where they would be a little bit more harsh in their words, or then they'd start kind of twisting my words, and then it'd turn into this big issue, and then my free time would be reduced, or they'd reduce my pocket money, or things like this. But they were cranking up the heat, but little by little. There's a saying: when you're cooking a frog,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
cook a frog in hot water because it'll jump straight out. You crank up the heat
I
a
know.
little bit.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they done until eventually I was just trapped in this, horrible place and it was too late. So they, out of nowhere, one day they approached me and they said, um, you've been approved to go semi-independent. There's different levels of semi-independence and we're moving you over to the bungalow,
Yeah,
which
I
is
remember that.
literally,
You made live streams about that. And you were
yeah,
so
and I mean,
excited because it was so lovely. I remember that.
it's so sad. And like literally now, like this bungalow was like about 10 footsteps away from the building I
I
was in.
know, I know, I know. It's like
Yeah.
you're independent, but we can still see you.
Oh yeah, like they'd be watching, like the staff across the road be watching me through the
I
window.
know. But it was nice while it lasted. But like to me, it feels like a little bit like maybe you were being love bombed.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
And I was being tricked into cooperating with them,
yeah, yeah,
because at this point, Ireland had started getting more involved with England around my case. And
yeah,
so they started getting more information in my files and actually, what I've actually done to Tusla, and so it was then they started realizing this guy doesn't play, like he's serious, like we need
yeah,
to
yeah,
put an
yeah.
end to it. And putting me over in that bungalow was the way of doing it
Oh, it was
because
love bombing. It was love bombing. But I want you to talk about, like, I know that you've got an appointment in 25 minutes. So I want you to talk about how did it go from you're semi-independent in this lovely apartment, you know, uh, to you're getting extradited back to Ireland.
so after everything that happened, and especially Stefan smashing my guitar, that was the last straw for me.
Shocking, absolutely shocking. And I saw some of your live streams where you managed to record getting abused. It was like,
Mm.
oh my God, I just wanted to. And I know people that actually wanted to come and rescue you. Literally, they wanted to come and get.
Also, people there who were saying, "Oh, Evan, grow up. Not everyone's against you. These people are doing their jobs." I was like, "What
No,
is?"
no, 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 no. They were being abusive. They were not trained. They were unqualified. They were sadistic. No, no, I'm sorry. I totally empathise with people that said he's 4 hours away from me, but I want to go and just rescue him. And I don't want you, I know you don't promote yourself as a victim, right? So I don't advocate people trying to rescue you because even though you're 16, you have the heart and soul of a 30-year-old. You know, you've been through so much, you've got so much wisdom. But I know people were so upset with what you were being put through, they literally wanted to go and rescue you.
Yeah. Um, so
So how did
yeah,
it
so
go from that? How did it go from that abuse, and then they made you all silent? They took your phone, and nobody heard from you for a month, and then all of a sudden you're getting extradited. How did that just catch
yeah,
people up on
so
that?
I eventually I saw what was going on and how abusive the care system in England was, and it was nearly worse than here
I
actually, you
think
know.
so. I think so.
Um,
I'm Anglo-Irish, Evan. I'm trying not to speak too much. I'm Anglo-Irish and like you know, Irish father, English mother, and I've lived in both countries. But I've also had dealings with Tusla, which were not too negative. I won. Like I won. I my kids were kidnapped for 5 days and I got them back. But so but what I'm saying is, when I saw you in the English system, and even though you were love bombed, like, oh, look at his lovely apartment, look at all his new clothes, look at all his goodies, look at how happy he is. I'm like, oh God, I wish you'd come home. Do you know what I mean? I call home Ireland. I've been here on and off since 1981. And I consider Ireland my home, even though I sound English. But I didn't like it. I didn't like it what was going on because you were then experiencing racism about being Irish. It's like you had care workers being racist against you just because you were Irish, you know? So
like making
like,
references, like Stefan, he was going on like Instagram and he was searching up like memes and jokes about the Irish
yeah,
famine.
yeah,
On
yeah,
me.
yeah. Anyway, I'm not trying to big up. Tusla in Ireland has got a lot to answer for, and we'll talk about that extensively. So, how did it go from abuse
Yeah,
in
so
the UK care home to extradition?
yeah, so after I realized what was actually going on, I started running away. I actually ran away back to the person I was living with before I was found. But obviously they had to call the guards, you know, or the police because they'd already been done for child abduction. Um, so there was the court case going on. The even though I'm back and I'm happy in Ireland to some extent, it was still a very corrupt court case. They didn't send me back for my best interests. I'll
No.
tell you right now. The judge who was involved in my case, and this is actually going to blow you away. Um, I didn't find out till actually after the verdict I was going back. I done my research. The judge, Judge Hayden, is actually the same judge who dealt with the Alfie case.
Wow.
It's all linked. And so I believe I was the reason why I've been excited back is because either Tusla have some kind of a deal with the courts or bribed the courts, but I we kind of already know that anyways. Um, you know, because all of these corporations work together. Um, but also, I do believe the other reason why Judge Hayden sent me back was to cover up his skeletons in the closet, you know, because he knew what I was capable of in terms of exposing these systems. And he knew that if he had kept me in England, as long as I was in England, he was at risk of me speaking up about the Alfie case and
Yeah.
actually, you know,
Yeah.
getting after him. So I do believe that it was a corrupt verdict. They haven't even given me the bundle case. They wouldn't let me keep it, but I do have some of the transcripts. I
I
even
know.
made
I
the
saw you broadcast those. It's like I'm like, yeah, go Evan. It's like you kept showing those documents before they had a chat. But I need to tell you, I need to tell you this, right? Ireland, Tusla has hired as head of Tusla people that have been fired from Scotland and Wales and England for child trafficking. They've hired, like, there's a fella called Fred something or other. We made him head of Tusla. He had been fired for child trafficking in the UK. It's like it's they have this pass around system where people on mainstream media have no clue. So it's like, oh, welcome to our new head of Tusla, Fred blah blah. It's like, well, have you researched him? Do you know he was fired for child trafficking in his last job? Oh no, I don't do research. I just watch the news.
Okay,
Anyway,
right.
but I'd say one
Um,
thing, right? I'd say one thing, and I hope you and I can do this, even though you're as young as my grandson. I hope we can check in once a month. But I'll say this, right? And I'll say it briefly. I live on a council estate, and there was this ex-social worker got given a council house on our estate, and she should never have been given one because she had £100,000 in her savings account, having sold her apartment in the UK as a social worker. But she got given a one-bedroom apartment on my estate. And then she went on to report every single parent whose boyfriend stayed more than 2 nights a week. And she went on to report every uh, other person that was doing a little 2 hour job, like a nixer, you do a little cash job on the side just to kind of keep the money flowing. Anyway, she reported everybody on the estate. And she reported, and including in her report, she reported me and my neighbour and another single parent. Like, I was divorced, but I still had 3 young children. My neighbour was single parent with 2 children, and the other girl was married but separated with 2 children. She reported us all for shouting at our children, right? Now, myself and my neighbour cooperated with Tusla. Tusla came to the door because this ex-social worker reported us for shouting. And I held my hands up and I said, yes, I'm raising 3 kids. It's not easy. And sometimes I scream and shout. Yeah, I do that. So they were like, okay, now you have to go and do a parenting class or a parenting class for ADHD and then a food class, like nutrition class, blah blah blah. I went and did all of it. The two of us that cooperated with Tusla, we did all the classes they made us do. The other one, she kept hiding from them. Every time Tusla were due to call out to her, she hid. She just ran away and made excuses. She lost her children. They were force adopted. So what I'm saying is that the only time I ever got reported to Tusla for shouting at my children by a social worker who ended up getting disgraced on our estate. She got an eviction notice from the council, but she's so well connected. She's like the auntie-in-law of the local Sinn Féin councillor. Like, she's so well connected that no matter what she did, she still got another bona fide. Even though she had 100 grand in her savings account, she got a Vincent de Paul flat. She got a charity house. So it's like these busybodies. But what I'm saying is that because myself and my neighbour, we cooperated with Tusla. Now that I'm talking 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and nowadays it's probably more corrupt. But it's not all bad news. There are some still good people in there.
yeah, unfortunately, though, the good people kind of get swept under the
They do,
carpet.
they do, they do. You've got 15 minutes left. Well, I'll
Yeah.
go longer, but you've got a time constraint. So tell me how they got you extradited. What happened?
So I got the verdict, and I was told I was going back to
The
Ireland.
verdict on what? You mean the extradition verdict?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they told me I was going back to Ireland the same week that I got the verdict. And so basically, I tried to appeal it, but my solicitor said there was no grounds to appeal it. They weren't going to, basically, they were giving up. And so, anyways, that Friday, I was in the solicitor's office, and um, secure transport came, picked me up. They put me in this private vehicle. It was a Mercedes estate car, and there was three bodyguards with me at all times. They drove me onto the ferry.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I went
Three
from
bodyguards. Can you imagine? The three bodyguards. It's like you're not Kung Fu Karate Kid. Like, why did you need three bodyguards? So, it's just so ridiculous, isn't it?
oh, stop. So I went from Holyhead to Dublin, and then they drove from Dublin to where I am now.
Okay.
I didn't even get to unpack my bags. I was only here for half an hour. It's about half one in the morning. And the guards come knocking on the door, put me in cuffs and arrest me.
Oh God.
And then I was sent straight to the guard station in a prison cell for 24 hours.
Where was this? Do you mind saying?
Oh yeah, it was in the Wexford guard station.
Wexford, right, okay. Okay.
And so basically, because of the false accusations that Tusla made against me, I was on bail at the time I ran. High court bail. But that didn't matter to me. I had to survive and get to England. I could stay there. You know, I mean, after I came back from the hospital that night, being raped for the DNA tests,
Oh,
they brought me straight back to that care home, you know. So I had to get out there. So they arrested me because I had 7 arrest warrants out for my arrest. Because the Irish judge dealing with my criminal case, knew I was in England, but continued to set court dates, knowing I would miss them, to get more arrest warrants out for me.
yeah,
So there was
yeah,
a conspiracy there. And yeah, so anyways, I go to court the next day. All of that just to be released back on bail because they have no beds available in Overstock. So now I'm still on bail, and I'm still heavily restricted on what I can do.
Okay, I want to hold you there because I don't want to walk you into breaking bail conditions, but like, because I don't know if you know, I got raided again in May this year, and they took my computer, and 5 detectives arrested me. I got searched. I got DNA tested. I got a mugshot. It was horrendous. I got
Yeah,
held for
but
6 hours.
they can't. Like you're technically that's illegal because you're a
I know
journalist.
I'm a journalist, and on that computer, which had been donated to me by a church in New York,
Information of your people.
yeah, but it had, like, for instance, I have 90 pages of an evidence bundle of a huge case in Wales, which I had not released. It's such sensitive information, even I hadn't released it. They took it. They took it.
And
And
you probably haven't gotten it back to this day.
I know, no, it was May, June, July, August, September. So 4 months ago, they just returned. I got raided first of all in 2000, I think it was 17, 18, 17. Anyway, they took a computer and 2 laptops back then. I just got them returned after 6 years. After 6 years, the Gardaí held my technology. And then out of the blue, they sent me a letter. You can collect your computers in Trim Garda Station. It's like,
That is
after 6 years, are you fucking mad? You know? But anyway, I want to keep focused. We're doing brilliant, right? We're doing brilliant. So
yeah.
you come back on the ferry, you get arrested in the middle of the night, you're like, it's just trauma after trauma. It's just mad.
Yeah, yeah.
And then where did you go? How did you end up now? Even though I know you're on, right, I wanted to ask you your bail conditions, and then I wanted to celebrate, even if it's just for a short time, the fact that you're safe, that you're engaging with Youth Reach, that you're got a phone, and that you can go to town and meet your friend on a Sunday afternoon. I wanted to celebrate the victories, right? We've got to get the little victories as we go along. But what are your bail conditions? Do you mind sharing that?
So my bail conditions, it doesn't say directly, but it indirectly says that I can't go on the run again. I have a curfew time of 9 p.m. and um, if I am reported missing, I'll be arrested.
Yeah, but there's
Uh,
no need, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run.
no, there isn't. Um,
All right, so
but
you've got a 9 p.m. curfew,
mm,
and what's the other thing? Yeah, you can't go missing, right? Yeah,
yeah,
fair
and
enough.
obviously stay out of trouble and things like that. Um, but
Did they try and gag you from going online?
well, they did kind of suggest it, yeah. Well, I mean, when I first came here, they were adamant that I was not getting my phone back. They really wanted to keep everything behind closed doors. Um, but I played the system really, really well. I done everything they asked.
There's
You
somebody
know,
just appeared behind your door. Right, there's somebody just
yeah, it's just the staff members in the background.
okay, okay. They're not spying on you.
No, they're just listening.
No, it's okay. It's just somebody walked past your door.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, so that's my bail conditions, anyways. They didn't want me getting the phone back, but I have one now. But I mean, when it came to actually signing my bail conditions in the courtroom, I was told that if I didn't sign my bail, I could be done for contempt of court. So they
I
actually
know, I
coerced
know, I
me
know, I
to
know.
go on to bail. And they're still trying to put me in secure care.
Oh no.
Um, and I have to question because of everything that's happened. Am I still being love bombed? You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
possibility.
And that's
You
what I
know,
was trying to say to you earlier. Be very careful. You are a very desirable poster child for any activists anywhere in Ireland or England, right? Because you're very good at speaking and you had a huge following. So I'm just saying to you, I don't know, the best thing Isaac Cappy did, he said to people, I can't interview all of you because thousands of survivors were reaching out to him. So he just said, make a video and do a hashtag survivor stories. And it went viral, like survivor stories, just because he said, I'm only one person. I can't tell all of your stories, but just use this hashtag and we will make a movement. So I just don't want you to be swallowed up by anybody. I don't want you to be hijacked because you're a poster child.
yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, you got back here and they arrested you and bailed you, and now you're not in a secure unit, are you in a group home? I don't
It's
want
a it's a Tusla home.
a Tusla home, but you're being treated with kid gloves.
Yeah, yeah, to the most part. Now there are some moments here and there, but I think that's to be expected
No, but you're
everywhere.
being treated pretty well, yeah, because you're a
Yeah,
hot potato. You're a hot potato.
yeah. So, but I mean, like, there's
So,
some
like
things.
you, for instance, you can freely go out and visit your friend Patrick this afternoon, and nobody's going to give you any hassle about that. You can go out
Well,
and
no,
visit.
there is going to be a few issues around it because they have a quite unreasonable time limit. I can only go out for half an hour.
Oh my
And I'm saying, well,
God.
look, I want to go to my mate's house and hang out with him for a bit. Like, I'm not going to limit my social life. And I've said, look, if I'm not back after the half an hour, I'll answer your calls, I'll answer your texts, I'll tell
Wow.
you where I am. You can't report me missing it.
Okay, okay, okay. So literally,
Um,
where you are, you're only allowed out for a half an hour.
yeah.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
And
Um,
are you allowed, would your friend Patrick be allowed to visit you?
no, no, they're not. Care homes don't allow other
So
kids.
you're still pretty, you are pretty, yeah, you're under constraint. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. And
I recommend Youth Reach. I helped train some of their leaders back in 2001, 2002, and they were doing good work. I haven't kept up with them, but I see you thriving. But if you're only allowed out for half an hour and you can't have a visitor where you are, yeah, I can see that being a challenge, you know?
I mean, there's some things as well that I'm not like impressed with. Like, okay, so obviously it's a good thing I'm back in Youth Reach, by which the way they're not paying me. They said I would do a week in hand, and I've done a week in hand. They still won't pay me, so I need to sort that out because they're actually in they're
Arrears.
in breach of
Yeah,
their contract.
arrears. And paying you for what? What are you doing?
So in Youth Reach, you're paid on attendance.
Oh, okay.
Uh, it's 45 euros a week.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw that. That's peanuts.
mm,
That's pittance. It's insulting.
yeah, it is. And they won't even give it to me. But that's not my issue. My issue around the Youth Reach is the fact that Tusla are so full of themselves. They're saying, "Oh my God, look everyone, look how well we're treating Evan. He's an
I know, I
educator."
know, I know.
And it's like, why are you seeking credit for that? Like, that should go without saying. The fact that I wasn't in education for 4 years to begin with is disgusting.
And the
And if
fact that you were horrendously raped and abused from the age of 4 throughout your foster care. And for people that don't know Evan's story, I beg you to please familiarize what Evan went through from the age of 4 for Tusla to want a pat on the back for putting him in youth reach, age 16, that you could never, ever, ever make up for what happened to this child in care, in Tusla's care. You couldn't. No money, no love bombing, no youth reach, nothing will ever give Evan back his childhood. It won't.
I got said that, it's so true.
And another thing I wanted to say to you, Evan, that's really tough to hear, right? Because the reason I didn't share your live stream from yesterday is because Jared, he's probably got his story and that's fine. But he was saying your poor mother. But I have, as a child, I'm a survivor myself, right? And not just my father, but my mother too were abusers, right? Or enablers of abuse. And I just want to say to you that it's possible that you may have to come to terms with the fact that your mother didn't have your best interests at heart. You know, she didn't. She didn't, Evan. And as much as you want to romanticize my poor mother and mummy loves me, mammy loves me, or whatever, that might not be the case. I'm just saying to you, you might have to prepare.
I mean, it's a difficult situation because they're after giving
I
me
know
access
you love your
and
mum. I
seeing
know,
her.
and I know you want to forgive her and you want to idealize her.
But,
I,
I have access with her now. They're letting me see her every second week, for the first time in years.
and how's that going?
It actually has been going well, but the relationship has been hard because my mother's made it very clear, like, if I make these live streams, if I contact you so not fit for purpose, she will cut contact with me, like, and it's she doesn't want me fighting against the system, at least not at the moment. And it's like I'm being made to choose between forget about the past, get over it, or my mother's relationship.
That's the
And
worst advice ever. That is the advice of an abuser or an abuse enabler, is when they say to you, forget about the past, move on, get over it, like stop talking about that. If you still want to be in
well,
my life,
to be fair, she never said it directly, but like she said, like, when I was missing, she had hundreds of people reaching out, abusing her online, showing up to her house.
Evan, she was a
Um,
bad mother. She failed you. I'm sorry to be honest with you, but she failed you, Evan.
well, I do agree with you there that she did fail
Yeah,
me to
she
a
failed
certain
you.
degree. Like,
And I like my father died 2 years ago, age 95, 6 days short of 96. And I'd gone no contact with him for 7 years. And then when he was dying, he said on his deathbed, I want to see Angela. And like a mug, I went back and I visited him once a week. And he lasted another 5 months. But he never changed. Like he never changed. And so one of the hardest grief processes you might have to go through is you can love your mother, but from a safe distance, because even with her putting pressure on you now, I'm going to see you every other week, but if you keep doing live streams, I'm gone. That's blackmail. That's silencing you. You have a
no,
right to
or
tell
like,
the truth.
she does have a history as well. Like, like my father was so abusive to her, like, and
I
my father.
believe you. Yeah, my father was too. My father abused my mother horrendously. He tried to murder her so many
And I
times.
think like my mom, she does love me. She is trying her best. I wouldn't say it's a situation where she's consciously trying to silence me. I guess what I'm saying is you're not that you're wrong, but the way I see it is what's happened here is Tusla have in a way kind of brainwashed her because it's like now that I am in this place and I have youth reach and I'm being love bombed and all of this, she's kind of like, oh, okay, Tusla are great now to get me. And she's kind of like, like she wants me to focus more on what I have now and not what's happened. And she's like, like I don't want you doing anything until you're 18. I don't want you protesting. I want you to be child and, focus on yourself. And I
Now,
guess
now, right,
I,
there's some grounds on which, right, there's some grounds when I said to you, we started talking a couple of weeks ago or whatever, and I said to you, slow down, and I do agree with that. In
yeah, but there's a balance.
There's a balance, yeah. Enjoy youth reach. Enjoy that you're in a safe space. You're not getting raped. You're not getting beaten up. You're not getting your guitar smashed. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy the little victories and slow down a little bit on the activism, but not a whole lot because when
Actually, I do just want
when
to
I
show.
listen to you going live, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to take a leaf out of Evan's book because your courage is it's a voice for this generation. It's a
Thank
voice.
you.
I swear to God, Evan. So look it. I think we've done like. Tell me what else. Right.
Yeah, well, really
I didn't mean to
quickly.
go hard on your mother, right? But I do want you to realize, and I had to realize, even 3 weeks before my father died, I reported him again for abuse.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
just really
realize
want to
sometimes.
show before we finish up. Actually, you mentioned about the guitars being smashed. I want to leave that topic on a good note,
Okay.
and I'm gonna show you something. Sorry, now my room's very messy.
Look, yeah, look, there's guitars like that in my background. Can you see them?
But it's an electric one now.
No,
This is
no,
my
look,
first.
no, look, Evan, look.
I
Look,
know. I see your one in the background as well.
it's
I've
not
seen it
mine, it's
on your
my
YouTube
son's.
channel.
It's my son's.
And this is the amp for it. So that's actually my first electric guitar. And then out here It's the like for like replacement for the guitar I got smashed.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And I've been getting really, really good at it. Really good at it, I think. I don't know for sure.
Can't hear. Can't hear. No audio, Evan.
What?
No audio. I can't hear the guitar.
Um, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but not the guitar.
That's weird. Can you hear that?
No.
I think you know what it might be
Make another
doing.
live stream with your guitar because
Yeah,
whatever you put your mind to, you make a success of it. I'm happy for you, and I just want to right. Let me catch you up. Can I catch you up on some serious stuff, Evan?
okay.
Right. We've got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We've got 10 minutes. It's 3:05. What time do you
Yeah,
have?
no, that's okay. That's okay.
Right. I just have to catch you up. The reason I didn't share your last live stream with Jared about Patrick was because Jared highly recommended Joe Fantonda. Joe Fantonda is an ex-white South African policeman who came to Ireland. He's on his second marriage, and his second wife is 20 years younger than him. And he was recommended to me by Tracy Morris from Belfast. And I took two high profile cases to him, the Hampstead case and the Baby H case, and neither of them benefited from his help. He's very intelligent. And the good thing I want to say about him is that when I was a Mackenzie friend for the parents of Baby H, this is a case you don't know about, but it goes back to about 2016, or I don't know, quite a few years. He was my go-to. Like every time I came out of the court, I would phone him and say, "What do I do now? What do I do now? This is what the judge is saying. This is what Tusla is saying, blah, blah, blah." And I achieved a huge amount of concessions from the judge where he allowed the breastfeeding mother to have access to her baby up to 3 times a day or whatever. And there was a huge amount of concessions made. But the truth is, eventually the judge caved, and Tracy Morris enticed the parents to go back to Northern Ireland, and the baby got force adopted, and the father committed suicide. It was horrendous, right? And the other thing, I stayed 2 nights at Joe Fantonda's house, and then I took the parents of Baby H and we stayed another night there. So I'm very aware of him. He's quite genius. And I, like I said, I took two cases to him and they ended up badly. He specializes he's supposed to be the European foremost expert on parental alienation, which is often used to for Tusla to steal children. They say, so for instance, a mother goes to Tusla and says, "My child has reported sexual abuse by her father." And Tusla says, "Oh, you're parental alienating the father." And then they give the child to the father. And I know people in my town that have gone through this. So he Joe Fantonda was used to sabotage the Hampstead case. He was used to favour Ricky Dearman. Scotland Yard hired him to do a report on the parental alienation that poor Ricky Dearman suffered in the Hampstead case. And uh, uh, Joe Fantonda published an academic article, and then he realised Scotland Yard was taking the piss. And he said to Scotland Yard, "Something's not right here. I need further information." And they wouldn't give it to him. So he dropped out of serving them. But it was too late. They'd already published his article that poor Ricky Dearman was a parent suffering from parental alienation. So all I'm saying is try and stay on your own and try and encourage, like this lad that you're going to meet today, Patrick. I know he's terrified of going live, right? And you could maybe help him the first live or two. But try
Yeah.
and encourage anybody that comes to you with a similar story, try and encourage them to make their story public
Of
on their
course.
own terms and just give a hashtag.
Yeah, and like I already have like, and there's actually a lot of background things happening with me and him. Like, we might be doing a live stream in about a week, um, and like to be fair, I mean I made that live stream yesterday on his behalf, and that's already gotten over 600 views.
Yeah,
Um, but barely anyone speaking about it.
no, no.
So. And that's what I'm saying. I'm getting the views, but nobody's talking.
No, I know.
Uh,
That's why I'm so grateful, even though you and you'd forgotten about today and blah, 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 and I wasn't well. But look, we did it. We did it, Evan. And
yeah,
let's do it again. And
definitely.
it's like your nana. And like, if I see you getting taken advantage of, I'm gonna say so, you know. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, I'm gonna tell you, you are the voice for this generation. And I'm happy to pass the torch on to you. It's just every now and then I'm going to say, red flag, red flag.
Yeah.
But you're doing
And I
brilliant.
really appreciate that. Like,
Yeah, no,
we all need to help each other out in this fight.
yeah.
We can't take on the world by ourselves.
No, and it's like people need to listen to the grannies because we've been there. It's like I know all these people. Do you know what I mean? I know all these people that are, a lot of them that swarm around you. And it's like I know you've got high discernment, but at the same time, I don't want to see you love bombed and then thrown under the bus and then love bombed again and then thrown under the bus and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want you to go into a secure unit. I want you to really enjoy Youth Reach and challenge them. And the only other warning I give you about Youth Reach is some people told me because I had a project with 13 delinquent teenagers, and some of the parents said to me, they're learning off each other how to be delinquent better. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes if you're mixing with people that have been in trouble, they might tell you how to do it better. So
Yeah.
just keep your nose clean and enjoy. And all I'd say to you is slow down, slow down, slow down. You will get your following back. You're only
Yeah.
just back online.
Yeah.
Literally,
True.
it might take you 3 months. And
Yeah.
I will put this, I'm like, I'll put this through YouTube and it'll get approved, and then I'll put it in a blog and it'll take 2 days. But that's okay because that kind of thing stays up, you know.
Yeah.
Just finally,
And
I just want you to share your GoFundMe and I'll put it in the description. Is that
thank
you've got a GoFundMe, and I love GoFundMe. It's the only platform I raise money.
no one is donating to
I
it.
won't be the first. I will do it tomorrow. I swear to God. I'll put 20 quid in there.
I don't know if it's working though,
No, I'll
because
try it tomorrow. I will try it tomorrow.
I can't say much because obviously the way government censorship is. But you know, because I don't meet certain requirements to withdraw from it, yet somehow I managed to bypass that. Um, so I don't know if it's actually working or not. But
Well,
sure, look,
I'll try it tomorrow. But Evan has a GoFundMe for €3,000 as a survivor of, and I'm never going to underestimate. We're laughing, but I want you to repost your testimony. Well, I don't know if you can bear to, but if you have them saved, share even on your GoFundMe, share it there. Share the videos of your testimony of like the foster carer that used to piss on the couch drunk every night and then beat you the next day for that crime that was hers, you know. Like some of the things you shared just broke my heart, Evan. Broke
Yeah.
my heart.
I
So
have
yeah,
some good news. After 9 months it's been, I finally got to make an official statement to the guards around what happened to me about the rape.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it didn't go so well, to be honest.
No,
I felt like I was interrogated. I felt like I wasn't believed, and I'm so angry with society because they've painted this picture that men can't be victims and all men are perpetrators, and it's just so not true. Like,
yeah, yeah. And there's also, I have to say it, there's a vast amount of, I'm going to be unpolitically correct here, but there's a vast amount of Nigerian people taking over the care,
absolutely, yeah.
subcontracting, yeah, and th they have already been prosecuted for faking social work credentials and police Garda clearance vetting, you know, and so these children are in the care of people that have faked their credentials. There was even a psychiatrist in Limerick operated for 20 years and she was never qualified. She was absolutely brutal and never qualified. So we're going to have to speak out about this. I'm going to let you go to town. I can't believe you're only allowed out for half an hour. I'm horrified at that.
Yeah, but
And
I'm
I
gonna be out
appeal,
longer than half an hour.
well, this won't go out for 2 or 3 days, but I appeal to anybody in charge of Evan that if he's gone for two
Hey,
hours, leave the kid alone. He's just gone to see a friend.
can the chat box in this Zoom? Um, will I put my copy link for the GoFundMe? Will I
Now I've
type
got
that
it.
in?
I've got it in my messenger.
I'll do. Oh yeah, yeah,
Well,
that's true.
yeah, I've got it in my messenger, and I promise you, I'll share it in this Zoom, and I will
Thank you.
promote it. I will. You know,
Thank you. That
no,
means a
no,
lot. Like,
no, no 20 quid will ever make up for what you've been through. All I'd say to you is be careful with your mum. You can love her safely from a distance. She did not look after, she did not protect you. She didn't, you know. And I know you have a romantic thing about, I love my mummy loves me. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. That's all. I don't mean to leave you on a low. All right, Evan,
yeah.
that was absolutely brilliant. And we'll do it again maybe next Sunday.
Yeah, I love that, and thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, you're a joy. You're an absolute joy. All right, God bless.
All right.